Alright, let's talk about Get It Now. Get It Now went through a lot of phases. So it originally started out in like 2020 as a song called Water, where I basically just repeated the word water a bunch of times on the hook. The only thing that was the same between then and now is the beat and the first verse. Not the hook, but like the verse after the hook. So I kind of liked how Water sounded, but I realized it was too close to Water by Ugly God, and I didn't really want to just like copy that. And so I decided to totally redo the song in August 2021. So I freestyled a new hook. The hook that you hear on the song, it's not too complex, but it was pretty much a freestyle. There's actually one line where I literally mumble. I am saying quite literally nothing. And normally I wouldn't do that on my songs, but I played it back and I was like, huh, I'm not saying anything, but it sounds cool, so I kept it. And my mindset when I have sort of a repetitive hook like that is I really try to make up for it with the verses. You know, I try to have some really exciting, like wordplay-filled verses and things like that. So I like the verse I already had from Water, but I re-recorded it and put new effects on it. And I liked what I had then, but it was only a hook and a verse, which is too short for a song. So when I recorded that interlude in the song where I'm like, haha, one more verse? All right. That was basically forcing myself to do another verse. So that interlude wasn't like super planned out. I sort of just said what came out of my mind when I was recording. And I happened to say one more verse, and I played it back and I was like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. And like the A is a really good way to like hype up the next verse. But then I was like, oh, damn, I don't have another verse. So I scrolled through my lyrics document to see if there were any verses I hadn't used that I really wanted to use for a while, and I found one, and it's the second verse on this song. It was just sort of a standalone verse I had written a while ago, and I realized it sounded really good on this beat, so I threw it on there. Recorded that verse, did about 3 ad-lib tracks to make it, like, as high energy as possible. The goal of this song was really just to be, like, ridiculous, like, as much hype as you can fit into 2 minutes. Heavily inspired by, like, the 100 gecs style of, like, hyperpop type stuff, but more with a trap twist to it, so like hyper trap maybe. So that was the reasoning behind like all the ad-libs that are going on in the background and like, you know, the crazy effects on the vocals, and why my voice is like pitched up to sound a little bit ridiculous. All done on purpose, just to give it that sort of like extreme sound to it. So as usual, huge shout out to Jay Paris for doing the mastering on this one. I did a lot of the original mixing and production on this one, but when I sent it over to him, he had some ideas for beat cuts, which you can hear in the first verse where the beat cuts out for a little bit. Those were his idea, and so we worked on that for a while and tweaked it a bunch until it sounded good, and I really like how that came out. So big shout out to him for that creative input. And yeah, that's Get It Now. Hope you get hyped to this one, and thanks for listening.